This is the Sargo 36. This in fact is a Flybridge version. They do two versions of this. This one has the Flybridge on top, but you also have one that has a flat top with an opening roof section if you prefer. Now these are made in Finland, and these are real roughy tufty, serious offshore bruisers. Fantastic seaboat, and the sort of thing you can just use all year round. It's very much the Finnish way of doing things, and you can see right here on the outside, look at these really super chunky sections of rubber here. Compared to the stainless steel that you get on a typical sports cruiser, that is designed to take a bit of a beating. You can see it around here as well. As I say, it is a super practical boat. They have these on out drives, and in fact even here you can see that practicality, because if you lift this up it gives you access straight down to the drives. So if you ever got a rope around the prop or something like that, you can tilt the drives and you can get to them. That again is something you don't often see. It's very much a boat designed to be used. Life raft fitted on the back of this one, and you've got a fender rack here as well. And if we head on board, I will give you the full tour. Now these are very much a walk around style of boat, and we'll do the decks obviously as part of the tour towards the end, but you can see them going up the side there. We'll head inside first of all and take a look at the interior. So what we have here is a big seating area over around on the starboard side. This section table folds out, we can have it folded away to give you the grab bar as you walk forward, and the galley then is over on this side. So this is your sink under there and your hob. This hob is interesting because these are actually diesel fired. What that means is you don't need a generator to operate that. And then underneath you have the oven, and you have the bin and a bit of storage, and then more storage in places like this. So if we head on forward, this is very much again the Finnish way of doing things, where you get these big chunky comfortable bucket seats. 3 people can sit across here in comfort. There's a side door, so it makes it dead easy to get out if you're short-handed, and in fact you could probably operate this boat on your own if you're experienced. And what makes that even easier is the fact that there is a door here, so that you can literally, when you come alongside a pontoon as we are now, let's put that over, you can just walk straight through and step down with a line. You've got a cleat right there. It just makes it dead easy to operate, and again it's back to that practical ethos. The helm is here. Now we've got this at the minute with this tilted up into a driving position, so I can stand here, lift that bolster up, there we go. Very comfortable place to stand and drive. If I want to sit down, then there is a knob here, we can pull that and the whole thing will, there we go. You can see how that's tilted down now, and so what that's giving us is it's bringing the wheel in for a much more comfortable seated position, and the throttles even come down with it. You can see as the whole section moves, all of this goes with it. We've got the twin screens on this one. I'm just going to put that back up actually. There we go. Twin screens, and then you've got engine instrumentation up here along the top and a bit more of the switch gear, and the VHF radio up here on the side. Over here, this chunky handle here gives you access to this little drawer. This is for putting charts into. I mean, the engineering on this everywhere, it's typical Finnish. It's almost over-engineered, it's amazing. And then underneath here, a shallow store. Again, you could put charts or books or whatever else you want to in there. And in fact, there's also, there we go, underneath this one, if I can do this one-handed, I should be able to. There we go. That's a television. So over an evening, you've got a telly up there. It's not really a boat for lounging around on, so these sorts of things I think are probably less of a priority than that driving position. Big forward sloping windscreens, an amazing view out. You can see they've got the big pantograph wipers on them. Again, that's all about that Finnish capability, that ability to just go out almost regardless of the weather. And then if we head down here to the lower deck, there is the owner's cabin up here in the bow. You've got a hatch up above that, and of course you've got screens that come across. That's a bug screen that way and a night screen that way, and little opening portholes as well. And again, it's very clean, it's very simple, it's not overall dangerous stuff. It's just a nice, functional, lovely quality boat. You look at things like the handles and you look at this woodwork, and the specialness of this boat is in the quality rather than in glitzy finishes. Big locker over on that side with storage. And then in behind here is hanging locker. And the other thing you find down here is the day head. That's in here. And there's an ensuite door, so you can access that directly from the forward cabin as an ensuite. And that's giving you the loo, it's giving you a sink, and there's a separate shower area there. So there's that door that will swing across to enclose that. Again, it's big enough, it's not too big, it's just right. So that's the accommodation, but it's not all of the accommodation, because if we head on back, there's another side door here incidentally, and that's another Sargo, slightly smaller one. We can come back here and we can lift this. And that then opens up like so, another stairway down, and this is giving us another cabin. Like so. What's nice is this is completely separate from the forward cabin. You're really right down to the other end of the boat, and what you have here is a double bed there and a single bed here. Well, that gives you this configuration, because you could opt to use it as two singles, you could opt to use it as a double, you could even use that infill, pop it in there and make that into an absolutely massive double. You could need some seriously big bedding to go on it, but that would just make a huge bed there then. Again, little windows. They don't go for these great big hull windows on these. It's all about practicality rather than about sort of, you know, sitting and looking out the window. There's an opening window up here, and then there's also another ensuite. Just a toilet and a sink in this one. There's not a shower. But it just means if we're at this end of the boat, you don't have to head through in the middle of the night to use the other one. So that is the interior. That, in case you're wondering, is a manual bilge pump. Just as a backup, there's electric bilge pumps as well, and that wooden panel there can be taken off as an access panel to some of the engineering areas. And that a little storage area. And you've also got storage all the way along the back here as well. These are a nice boat. I remember when this boat launched. It was before the Flybridge version came out. It was over in Finland, and I was on a press trip, and there were about 10 journalists on board. This boat had the biggest engines. It was doing about 40 knots down the archipelago, and people just stood here with their arms folded, chatting away quietly, and the boat was just going straight down. It was fantastic. And that's what these boats are about. They really are a going places boat. So I'm going to slip my shoes on and we'll take a wander around the deck. So, out of here, you notice the decks on these are completely smooth. What I mean by that is there's no steps. You don't come halfway along and then trip up a step. Really thick, chunky rails, and they're high too. They really are at sort of hip height, waist height almost. That's that door, and that's that access into the helm position. And then we come on again around to the bow. This is very much a Finnish thing. So what they do in Finland, because they have the archipelagos, a lot of rocky islands, what they do is they anchor the stern of the boat off, put the bow of the boat up against an island, and then this drops over as a step. Goes all the way down. There we go. And that allows you to step down and onto the island. That's why the anchor winch is offset to one side. In fact, in Finland, they very rarely use the bow anchor. You probably find most of these boats out there don't even have it fitted. They just have one at the stern. Let's come on around. As I say, you can have this with a flat top. This one's got the Flybridge, so that gives us another area to explore. There's great big windows here, all nicely flushly moulded in there. And then we come right on around. Now, the interesting thing about these steps is you can see they go in front of this seat, but in fact, if you're there of an evening, you're not driving the boat, just anchored up somewhere and you want the maximum amount of space, then you can see how this hinges here, and then the whole thing hinges here, and you can just lift it right up out of the way. It clips up onto that bracket there, and it's completely out of the way then, so this is completely unencumbered down here. We're going to head on up. And this then is the Flybridge. It's as functional and as useful as the rest of the boat. So you have things like this seat here can drop that way. So if you're entertaining, you can sit right around here. There is a table that will go in here as well. And then at the back, this seating section here Really simple. It just sits inside a ledge. So if you lift it out and drop it flat, and that there, that's finished engineering. That will still be working in 100 years' time. You know, it's just nothing to break. Drop that one back. Helm position up here, then you've got your navigation screen again, engine instrumentation again, bow thruster, the throttle controls, trim tabs, and so on. And then this is the view out over the front. So really amazing view. We're at Southampton Boat Show at the minute, as you can see. People will say, well, how do you get it out? Actually, it's a very good question. They have to take these boats out in a special order, and then there's a bridge fitted in somewhere. I think it's up there, that they have to lift to get the boats out and through. And the really interesting thing about this whole marina, all of it doesn't exist. They put this in for the boat show. In 2 weeks' time, the boats will be gone and this marina will be gone, and even the piles that it sits on that hold it in place, they'll be gone too, because they're just going to sockets in the seabed. It's quite remarkable. Okay, let's head back down. Last thing to show you is the engines. So to get to these, we need to flick these catches. Again, that super solid engineering. You know, this isn't the fastest way in the world to do it, but it is probably the most secure, because all of these help to secure this down. And then there's a button in here, which if I press it, where has it gone? Engine hatch. There we go. And that's actually a really good demonstration, because you've got to flick all those catches, but then when you do so and hit the button, it's one of the fastest hatches I've seen. Now in this boat we have a pair of Volvo D6 330 horsepower engines. Those are giving the boat about 34 knots flat out and cruising at 23, and you've got a range of about 300 miles, but if you prefer, you can put much bigger engines in. I think the biggest are D6 440s, and I think that's getting the speed up to around 40 knots. So it's just very much owner specification. The owner of this one doesn't need that kind of level of performance. This is more than sufficient, and to be fair, it's more than sufficient for most people. And so that's what it's gone for, nice and unstressed and easy to use. And this boat, you can see how lovely and clean and new it is. I love being on new boats. Look how everything is just absolutely perfect in here. Fantastic. And then you can see some of the wiring and that kind of stuff on the rear bulkhead. It's all very nicely done. Superb. Let's drop that one back down. So, back to the button, dun, 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 engine hatch. Look at that, silent. Brilliant. You might have heard that hiss. There's a thick seal on these that gives them the watertight business when they're closed. And then we'll flick those back down. And we're golden. These here, incidentally, these are to be able to put table legs in and a table on top. And of course you can have upholstery on these if you want it, or you can just leave it as it is. Brilliant. Let's head back inside. I think we'll finish up here with Maggie at the helm. And we will say huge thanks to Sargo Boats UK. They've organised this tour for me. And huge thanks as ever to you guys for watching. Let me know what you think of this one. It's a bit different to the normal stuff that we show. I think it's an absolutely amazing machine. It is very much function over form, and it does it, I think, brilliantly. We'll catch you on another one of these very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.